Welcome to the IonaHoops.com podcast with your host, Guy Flatico.
Season 2, episode 27 of the IonaHoops.com podcast, and we've got a ton of breaking recruiting news to share. As Iona's picked up not one, not two, but 3 new commits in recent days. We're going to bail on our normal podcast format here to review the new guys, catch you up on the earlier commits, and we'll even hear from Coach Pitino on the matter. So let's get to it, and welcome the newest Iona Gaels. Let's start off with Cruz Davis, a 3-star point guard who really recently decommitted from Oregon State and just joined the Gaels after a recent official visit to Rochelle. The 6'3 Davis also had offers from Houston, Georgetown, SMU, and TCU, among others. He's a 3-star recruit ranked 214 nationally and number 37 nationally among point guards. He's a lefty who likes to get out in transition and has a deadly pull-up 3. Sounds like a fun backcourt mate for Walter Clayton. Plenty of videos of Cruz available to check out on IonaHoops.com message board, and that's the case for all of the recruits I'm about to talk about. Certainly seems we landed a good one here, and welcome to Gael Nation, Cruz Davis. Where's the beef, you ask? We'll be getting that in the form of Silas Sunday, a 7-footer from Our Savior Lutheran. Originally from Ireland, Sunday had offers from Kansas State, Rutgers, Wake Forest, Nebraska, Illinois, and St. John's, among many others. He's an imposing presence, but make no mistake, he's got great hands, soft touch around the basket. It's going to be a true asset to the Iona front court. But Guy, you ask, who's running the show for these new-look Gaels? We need a veteran in our backcourt. Well, how does a first-team JUCO All-American and the 3rd highest-rated JUCO player in the country sound? Dennis Jenkins from Odessa Junior College has just signed with the Gaels, and this guy can do it all. He averaged 15, 5, and 4, and shot 40% from 3 and 87% from the line. I know Gael fans are liking that. Jenkins played his first 2 seasons at Pacific and now brings his talents to New Rochelle. Welcome, Dennis. Back in January, Jose Grullon out of Miami Prep verbally committed to the Gaels, and now it's official. The 6'5 guard and Dominican Republic native joins the program. Grullon is a high IQ player with a nice handle and a sweet outside shot, and he chose Iona over a host of mid-major offers. Back in the fall, you guys are all going to recall that Iona announced the signing of 2 other Gaels, Keither Florence and Sadiko Ayo. Florence is a 6'9 athletic and physically D1 ready forward out of Wichita, Kansas. He had offers from such programs as SMU in South Florida. Ayo is the high school teammate of Silas Sunday at Our Savior Lutheran. He's a skilled 6'6 small forward, originally from Ghana. 3-star recruit, ranked 6th best player in his class in New York. Offers from St. John's, Seton Hall, and Auburn, among others. Athletic, high major body, good shooter, and handle for his size. It's going to be a lot of fun out there watching him. So who's not coming to Iona after all of that? Well, back when Grullon committed in January, Iona also received a verbal commitment from his high school prep, Miami Prep teammate Colin Howells. Howells will no longer be headed to Rochelle. And what about the current roster? Of course, we saw the departures of Trey James, Jordan Wilde, and Robert Brown earlier in the offseason, but no other Gaels are departing at the moment. Iona fans, of course, have been speculating since the season ended about everyone from Josh Duash, due to the lack of minutes, to Barrick Jean-Louis, due to finding himself in Pitino's doghouse down the stretch. The rest of the Gaels are indeed returning. With that in mind, we better take a look at how the roster now breaks down. In terms of guards and small forwards, so we have Barrick, who'll be back as a grad student, sophomore Walter Clayton, junior Ryan Myers, senior Parker Weiss, sophomore Josh Duash, and finally senior guard James Carey. We can't forget James. And they're now joined by Jenkins, who's going to be a junior, and then freshmen Davis and Grullon. Forwards and centers, we have Quinn Slazinski, Nelly Jr. Joseph, and Oz Shima all returning, and they're joined by Sunday, Ayo, and Florence. So nice, obvious depth there in the front court. 6 bigger kids, 7 guards, small forwards, plus 2 more guys in Weiss and Carey. That's everybody. That's 13 guys, and then some. And at the moment, things change as we know. Those are your 2022-23 Iona Gaels. With all of that covered, let's hear what Iona coach Rick Pitino had to say about this class. Not to mention, well, whatever else may come to his mind when the microphone will get in front of him.
We'll open up November 7th. It'll be an outstanding Ivy League opponent. We're not allowed, obviously, to say who it is, but it's one of the top 4 Ivy Leagues traditionally. We'll open at home. We're at Hofstra on the 11th. We'll play an outstanding team on an NCAA team at the Mohegan Sun on the 18th. In December, we'll play St. Louis at home. As you all remember, we lost at the buzzer on a missed layup and 2 missed free throws down the stretch. Also going to play an outstanding opponent at the Barclays Center as well, another NCAA team this year. We'll take on my son at New Mexico. He wouldn't play the last 2 years, which means he's got an outstanding team coming back, maybe the best backcourt in the nation. On our way to Hawaii, we'll play New Mexico. And then we're in the Diamond Head Classic, which will be a lot of fun. Utah State's been in the NCAA last year. Washington State's an outstanding team. SMU, certainly Hawaii, Seattle, Pepperdine, and GW. So we have an outstanding non-conference schedule. We have obviously Seton Hall in the Garden, which is not listed there only because we haven't got the date finalized yet with their new coach, but we will play Seton Hall in Madison Square Garden. So we're in the Barclays Center, we're in Mohegan Sun, at New Mexico, Diamond Head Classic, and we still may book a game in the UBS Center. All right, now let's talk about the recruits. We went the freshman route more than the transfer portal route because I wanted to go 80-20, 70-30 in different years. I don't want to lose sight of building a program. With most of these guys, I can honestly say I would have recruited probably all of them, maybe with the exception of 2, at Louisville. So we're very excited about that statement. The guys coming back, we certainly have Nelly and Osborne at the 5 spot. We have Quinn Selinsky at the 4. We have Berrick at the 3 coming back. We have Walter Clayton at the 2-1. We have Ryan Myers at the 2-1. It's rare and different to have your captain be a walk-on. And Parker Weiss is our captain next year. He'd probably be a unanimous pick by every member of the basketball team. So we're excited with what we have coming back. We're excited about our schedule, and we're excited about these new 6 players coming in next year.
Ken?
Hi, Coach. Good to see you. I just thought about most of these players are coming in as freshmen. You have the one player coming in from, I think, a junior college. Was the transfer portal just not something you wanted to utilize this year?
You know, the transfer portal is very, very good. And certainly we looked at some people, but I don't think, I mean, most coaches are going that direction. I just think to build a program with a solid foundation, you've got to do it through the high school ranks. You can do it through the transfer, nothing wrong with taking a junior college transfer. But I want to build a nucleus like Walter Clayton, I think, is a hell of a freshman. Osborne Shima, hell of a freshman. We took Osborne there. And we want to really, really build it through the ranks of having 2 or 3 freshmen a year. And certainly we have that this year.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, a lot of rumors about, realignment, what might come into the MAC, people still contemplating leaving the MAC. What's your view on, for instance, if we were invited to the A10?
With me, and understand this, if we would have beat St. Louis and gone a little further in the MAC tournament, I believe we would have gotten an at-large berth. So if in the Atlantic 10, if Richmond didn't upset Davidson, they would have only had, out of 14 teams, they would have only had 1 team in the NCAA this year. But I believe with Loyola Chicago coming in, with Archie Miller going to Rhode Island, and with Frank Martin going to UMass, the Atlantic 10 is going to take off because they just hired awesome coaches. So I'd like to get in the ACC, but we need to get in a multi-bid league. Can the MAC develop into something like that? I don't know. It depends on who they're bringing in. So I don't know what's happening with that.
And then Guy Filatico?
Hey, Coach, you've been talking about the portal earlier on and its impact on recruiting and how everybody's just going to the portal. Do you think that enabled you to land these high school players that you would able, the quality of high school players you'd be able to get?
Definitely with Cruz Davis, no question about it. Like I said earlier on, he knocked us out, and I think everybody is so portal crazy. Every coach whose job may be on the line or who sees they go, Kevin Willard goes into Maryland. He's got to win right away. He's not going to look at high school kids to try and win right away. He's got to look at the portal. It's common sense. So same thing with Shaheen Holloway when he goes there. Everybody's looking for the portal to speed up the process of them winning. I'm not in jeopardy of being fired yet, so I look at it a little bit differently.
News 12 is having trouble with their Wi-Fi, but they wanted to ask, what do you think that St. Peter's run to the Elite Eight, what kind of a positive effect will that have on our program and the MAC going forward?
I just think, look, St. Peter's, I think the last 2 years, Brian, correct me, I think we're 4-0 against them. That means nothing. So why did St. Peter's go as far? They went as far, and I tried to tell my team this, because they were the best defensive team in the league. We were the best offensive team in the league, along with Monmouth. They were the best defensive team, and defense is needed every single game you played. It wasn't our offense. Now, you could say, yes, there's no question about it that Ryder spent 4 seconds in the lane and they changed pivot feet. You could blame the referees. Well, I can give you 100 mistakes that have went in my favor in my coaching career by referees. Crucial situations in the NCAA, so you can't blame referees. But if our defense was better, we would have been able to stop Ryder, and we weren't able to stop them. So that's going to be a focal point next year's defense, and St. Peter's carried the torch of great defense lets you advance in the NCAA tournament. And that's certainly why Kansas won a national championship, because they were able to come back in that second half with great defense and stop North Carolina. So it's all about defense, and St. Peter's played it great, did a lot of really good things by changing up their defenses. And certainly our press was good this year, but our man-to-man defense was not. And it wasn't bad. It just wasn't good enough to do what St. Peter's did.
Eugene has his hand up from the Journal News.
Hey, Rick. I was just wondering, I know you mentioned how there were a couple of opponents that were TBD. Is there a timetable for when we can expect those opponents to be announced or when those games will be finalized?
Yeah, we're just waiting on the contracts. But like I said, it's going to be an Ivy League team that's always been traditionally a top 3 or 4 Ivy League team. The other team in Mohegan Sun is a team that played in the NCAA team from the Atlantic 10 last year. So that's going to be there. Seton Hall, I just told you, that's a contract that's been signed to play in either the Barclays, the Garden, or UBS. And then we have, I believe we have one other team to book right now. We're only 1 game shy.
Okay, thank you.
Harvard is going to be pushed off to next year.
Yes, Harvard will be the following year at Harvard.
Okay.
And then also New Mexico is a home and home. They're coming back to the Hines the following year.
Okay.
Hope you all enjoyed that. I should mention that those are just some pieced together snippets from the full press conference, courtesy of Iona College Athletics. Stay tuned to icgaels.com and Iona's social media portals for the full Rick Pitino video. That's going to do it for this episode of the IonaHoops.com podcast. Lots of news and excitement coming at us, and it's only April. Stick around. We've got lots of great content and guests coming this offseason here on the pod. As always, go Gaels.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the IonaHoops.com podcast. This podcast is a production of IonaHoops.com and its publisher Guy Filatico. The opinions shared during this podcast are those of Guy Filatico, IonaHoops.com, and any featured guests. This podcast is not affiliated with Iona College Athletics or the college itself. Thank you for supporting IonaHoops.com.